Hello, guys. I'm being good today. I'm sure that's what everybody wants, so I'm being good so nobody gets mad. This is a friendly channel. Um, Turning the other cheek, I guess, but forcefully. I wanted to share two accounts with you. Um, Number one, I wanted to say that Kirk and I talked, and he's probably going to be, and hopefully I'm encouraging him to open a channel. I think if he opens a channel, he'll do really good, and you're going to want to see one of the first videos he's going to put out. Trust me. Um, but yeah, I would like to collaborate with him. But also, secondly, I've got two stories I want to share with y'all. And we're going to start out one from Gray County, Texas, KFDA. Law enforcement are investigating after a McLean woman died from a confirmed animal attack this weekend. According to officials on Saturday, October 29th, Gray County deputies were called to the area of Kingsley and Heasley in McLean about a body. Officials say someone found the body of a woman who had been stabbed. Again, guys, they thought that this murder looked like a stabbing. Uh, it goes to tell you right there, to me, it can't be dogs, that it's actual large puncture wounds, which would suggest above normal canines or claws. The body, who was later identified as Kimberly Dawn Morris, was sent to Lubbock for an autopsy. The scene was investigated by the Texas Rangers and the Gray County Sheriff's Office. Today, the autopsy results confirmed the death to be from an animal attack. Officials say there are currently no known witnesses to the attack or what animal or animals were involved. At least they're not saying a dog this time, right? On October 29th, Gray County deputies were called about a body of a woman that had been stabbed, I hate that word, mutilated, gruesomely. Wow. The preliminary autopsy results confirmed death to be from an unknown animal. Gray County deputies told News Channel 10 that they have never seen an animal attack like this. How many times have we heard that? That the damage was too bad to even talk about. One deputy said it looked like somebody took a large sword and ran it through the victim over and over. Good grief. But they know it was an animal, so they've got some DNA, I'm guessing, and probably coming back inconclusive. That was one I wanted to share with y'all. It was a short one. I'm going to stay with it and see what comes of it right now. It's fairly new, so there's not a lot of information out on it. Second one I want to share with you guys, and I know y'all is going to say you've heard this before too, but these things, their MO, they kill almost the same way. I hope I get this guy's last name right, but Bart Schleier was a famous outdoorsman. He was an outdoorsman hunter as well as a playboy. He was also described as a survival expert. In September 2004, Bart went off a trip to the Canadian wilderness. His last contact was when he chartered a float plane, left him at the larger of the Reed Lakes in Canada's Yukon Territory on September 14th. Reed Lakes is on the southern slope of the Silwan Mountains, I'm guessing is the name of those, about 175 miles north of the town of Whitehorse. And the nearest settlement is Stewart Crossing, about 15 miles from the lakes, on the road from Whitehorse to Dawson. Wow. He was well equipped for the trip with 3 plastic action packer crates with enough food to last 2 weeks, clothing, camp gear, such as tent and an inflatable boat. When the plane that dropped Bart off returned 2 weeks later to collect him and take him back to civilization, the experienced woodsman was gone. A search by the RCMP that started on September 30th, 2004 turned up nothing. Dib Williams, a friend of Schleier's, was sure that he was there and conducted a more thorough search when the RCMP left the scene. He found some remains on October 3rd, 2004. It looked like a bear had taken him out. But for this man, an expert in bear behavior and highly experienced hunter, some remain skeptical of that explanation. Almost everyone who knew him believed he was simply too good of a woodsman to alert while in the forest, to have a bear catch him by surprise. Was it really a rogue bear attack, or did something else happen to him, is what I wonder, in Yukon. Bart was reported missing on September 30, 2004, and a Royal Canadian Mounted Police promptly launched a comprehensive search and found nothing. According to the RMCP, he had lunch or supper in a camp since the remains of the meal were found. Bart had evidently used his boat and paddled it down the lake from the camp, and was found around a half-mile from the camp. They found Bart's tent had been knocked down, either by wind or animals, but the equipment was there. They searched the area around the tent and found large gashes in the tent, large slashes in the tent that did not mimic bear behavior and were too wide to be any bear known in the area. One of the behavioralist experts said if this was a bear, it would have had to have weighed about 15,000 pounds because of the width of the bear marks that would have took to make these cuts. So they're really wide slashes. Williams and Curry got increasingly concerned as they didn't buy the story. A little further, they found a face mask with blood and hair on it, and at this point they called the RMCP back to the area. At first they found little but bear and wolf tracks, but then a baseball cap was spotted by the searchers, and then a camouflage pants. A camera, part of a skull, and just a few small bones. You notice his pants are off, right? He was unclothed. And I noticed that when I was reading this, and that starts making you realize it's matching the MO of the other things, because everyone always gets unclothed. And I noticed that when I was reading it, and that's really what caught my attention. All these items were 60 meters or so from the bow of the spruce tree. He left his bow and arrow leaned upon a spruce tree. The teeth in the skull allowed the subsequent identification of the remains as being Bart. There wasn't much more of his body found. Amongst some of the bear scat samples, there were some bone fragments but no fabric. The bone fragments were later found to be not his. Most of his clothes were never found. But searchers and friends were skeptical it was a bear attack that had taken Bart out. First, there was no sign of death struggle. No vegetation or ground had been disturbed. The remains were found in a little patch of sparse spruce lying on the moss, and if a bear killed him, there would be unusual, as they are usually bury their kills in a cache. Remains found no tooth puncture in his skull, nor indications of scratch marks from teeth. When bears attack people, they almost always go for the head. The baklava that they found contained little blood and hair, and his pants even less. If a bear attacks a man, it won't remove his pants without them being shredded and soaked in blood. Normally, bears grab the end, especially when attacking from behind, causing profuse bleeding. So why wasn't the baklava soaked in blood? The plastic container that held the food there had not been disturbed, and bear experts said that a grizzly had killed him, that it was most likely it went to the campsite and attacked the camp, ravaged, and went for the food. Everything points to evidence being that he was scavenged after he was killed. One expert that did find the skull said that there was enough of the vertebrae left onto the skull as if the vertebrae had been ripped from the shoulder area, which suggested his head had been turned in a 360-degree direction without breaking the skin on the skull, puncturing the skull, and no forced trauma. Something grabbed him and just twisted his head around. And then the head was forcefully pulled off. You know how much strength that would take? So something pretty much grabbed him and just pulled his head off and left him out there, pretty much. Man, that takes a lot of strength. So not only will they catch you, and when the little kids are missing and stuff, and we say they're quiet, we think it's because it has already killed its prey. That's why nobody ever hears them yell. Sounds like it's what happened to him too. It kind of sounds like they're an ambush predator, and whenever you're in a vulnerable situation, which he's out there by himself, I'm sure he was in a lot of instances, collecting firewood, being over, eating, setting, you're back to the woods, that it just walked up and pretty much pulled his head off. When you're in the woods, always have your back to something where nothing can flank you, for sure. Always be vigilant, keep your head on a swivel, for sure. But yeah, that's crazy. And I hate when they try to throw two uh, attacks into one to try to make it more like one is a grizzly whenever they don't even match each other, but they try to blend them together to try to confuse you guys and to try to confuse the reader. But what they don't understand is we're not dumb. I hate when they do that. But anyways, they tried to throw another attack into this to try to confuse everybody, but they don't even match. The MOs are not the same. The other attack does sound like a grizzly because the clothes were shredded and still on him. He wasn't undressed. Just frustrating that they tried to do that, but I wanted to share those with you guys this morning. It's been a while since I put out, a lot of videos on this channel, and I found this one and thought, hey, I should share it with you guys. So I hope you all enjoy it. I look forward to sharing some more with you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.